Clock keeps ticking on the fiscal cliff talk. Plenty of pessimism that a deal can get done before Christmas. Let's bring in our gaggle, former Democratic Senator from Arkansas, Blanche Lincoln. Alfonso Aguilar, Executive Director for the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles, and from the Associated Press. Let's see. Blanche, I want to start with you.
Sure.
Because I want to know, do the jet fumes of Nashville mean anything anymore? I was confident that a post-election lame duck would sort of make it a lot easier for a deal to be cut, but I'm pretty pessimistic this morning.
Well, I think they know, unfortunately, that there's probably a 2-week cushion after the new year of some degree. But I also think that a lot of members got told that, you know, it doesn't look like anybody's going to work hard enough before the Christmas break. So you're going to be here the week between Christmas and New Year's. So there's a lot of scurrying going on up there.
And members, they're prepared to stay?
I think so.
Well, if they're prepared to stay, then the incentives to cut the deal before. I mean, you suddenly take away a big incentive, and that actually is sometimes helpful in negotiations. Right. It's not just the cliff. You throw in another aspect of this, which is you would assume families say, guys, come home, please.
You know what?
We haven't seen you for 2 years.
I'm actually encouraged because for the past weeks they were debating this through the media. Yeah. Now they're finally talking face to face.
That's true.
And while Speaker Boehner said they're still far apart, they're talking to each other. Negotiations are ongoing. So I think this is great. So I'm a little bit optimistic today, but it's just today.
I was where you were 2 days ago, but Liz, it seems that they don't, the way they traded proposals, what was fascinating about the whole kabuki theater, if you will, of the last couple of days is the Republican leadership thought the White House counterproposal was insulting. They did, and the White House didn't know they were insulting. It was a total, and you're like, wow, are you misreading these guys already? Now, this is all a game of nobody wants to own the entitlement cuts.
Sure.
Okay, let's say the president isn't going to be the, quote, brave one, and neither does Speaker Boehner want to be the, quote, brave one on this.
Look, I think the jet fumes at Nashville and the desire to get home is not the only pressure that each side is facing, right? I mean, look at your NBC News poll. Compromise. American Republicans and Democrats widely favor compromise. Stalemate is a political loser for both sides, and so the incentive to get something done and to really try to, you know, each side is going to have to give something up. And
what if Republicans come to the conclusion that stalemate, yes, it's a loser, but we're already in the hole? It's a bigger loser for the Democrats and the president, and we can just shut down his second term.
I don't think they can reach that conclusion. Every poll shows that Republicans will be blamed, so they have to get out of the hole. And I think at some point, and some Republicans are starting to accept some increase in tax rates. The question is what that increase would look like. Perhaps they could come forward and say, well, let's increase the tax rates for millionaires, not for people making over $250. I don't know.
And the White House calculation is simply, Blanche, that they don't want to negotiate with themselves. They're sitting there going, no, you give on rates, say uncle on that, and we'll talk about everything else. And Boehner's like, I'm not saying uncle yet on that.
They've got, I mean, compromise has got to be a part of it for both of them in terms of image, in terms of results. There's no way that they can get to where they need to be without compromise.
Do you think there's a point, though, that the president has to say, you know what, they're not going to be grown up, so I have to do it? Or there's a, you know, or either side says that of the other. Boehner tries to say it of the president. Hey, he's not, he won't cry uncle, so fine, here are my entitlement cuts. I know everybody's going to hate him.
I think that the meetings that you are seeing and the people that are coming and going in these meetings, I think that's very promising because it means that not only have you got Speaker Boehner and the president, I know they say to the press oftentimes, but they're still meeting and their staffs are still meeting, and that's really critical.
Well, but I also had a pessimist say to me, we're always going to say we're meeting because we're not going to have that blame game of who ended the talks first. We'll say it all the way until all that is done is passing the middle class tax rate extension.
Both sides are doing the same thing. They're saying one thing in public to, you know, put pressure on the other, but frankly, we don't know what they're saying in private. We really don't. There are 5 people in that room making those decisions, making those discussions, and they're.
I think it's less than.
All right, it could be, yeah, fine, less than that. The point being is, each of them are playing on 2 different tracks, right? They're playing the public game because they have to for their external politics for their base, but they still are.
They are.
You know, from what I'm told, trying to reach.
I know it's not as good in private as we think it is, though. That's the thing, guys. That's where I got depressed over the last 24 hours. All right, stick around.